HappiDaze here, and in today's video, we have a news drop of the upcoming TM that's coming up. We got some detailed drops on some of the characters that are going to be out there, as well as the unit that is going to be super evolving for this TM. So we'll go into the units, starting with the highest point boosters, which in this case is Nico Robin. There's also a new Nami and a new Sanji that's coming out. So Nico Robin is the highest booster, followed by the Nami unit, and then lastly, the Sanji unit. So let's go ahead and dig into what they do, see if they're any good, and see if they might be worth pulling. So let's go ahead and click on Nico Robin first, and she's the highest booster. So as we see, if we go down, the captain abilities, you can just pretty much ignore them. TM units never have great captain abilities, and you can see 3.5 attack, you're never going to use it for captain, so let's just skip over that. In terms of sailor abilities, so she makes Psi orbs beneficial for all the characters and just boosts recovery of Psi and character percent. So not too crazy in her sailor ability there. So let's go ahead and hop into her special. So she gets rid of despair by 6 turns and resilience by 6 turns and reduces the defense of all enemies by 1 turn. So it reminds me of the Lilith that we just got, right? So Lilith took care of the despair. She took care of the resilience. Now, granted, she had a super type, so she could help with orbs and attack that this Robin doesn't have. But it's kind of interesting that the units are so similar. Maybe it's a random occurrence. Maybe Bandai did that on purpose. But she does have reducing the defense of all enemies by 100%, which is good, which is unique to her as opposed to Lilith. So yeah, can't really complain there. So if your crew has an orb amplification when special is activated, increases the tap time bonus of Psi and Int characters. So if you recall, I put out a video probably a couple weeks back, talked about the chain multipliers and how it works. And we talked about the chain tap timing bonus and how that is, if you hit your greats, it's 0.1. If you hit your perfects, it's 0.3. So you can see it just boosts those numbers up here, right? So if you hit a perfect and you have a orb effect on there, you'll hit a perfect will be 1.5. Oh, sorry, will be 0.5 instead of 0.3. So you just get a lot of increase in damage there. And what's nice is that it also boosts that orb effect by 0.25. And even if you don't have it, it will still boost it. Instead of 0.3 for perfects, it'll be 0.4 for 3 turns, which isn't bad. You can't really complain about it too much. It kind of is what it is. So greats become similar to perfects. Like I said, I don't think people are gonna, you're gonna be hitting perfects, right? That's the whole goal of doing the most damage. But like I said, it would have been nice to see a little bit higher, maybe not as high as Sugar's, who is 0.7 or 0.8. But if it was just a little bit higher, I think it would have been a little bit better. But overall, you can kind of see what they're going with here. I just want to kind of increase that damage you can output. So let's go ahead and check what her support can do. So you can lock orbs for 1 turn. So orb lockers are always good. And it goes on Nami and Sanji. So 2 good units. There's lots of units of both of those. So you'll be able to kind of lock any slots that you need. The resilience is really interesting because there's not many characters that can do resilience for more than 1 turn. When I did a quick check, there was something like 10 characters before this Robin, so she would be the 11th, that can do some resilience that's greater than 2 turns of the support unit. So there was an Otama unit that could do it. There was a Frankie, I believe it was a Red Frankie that could do it. There was the Buggy unit from the Shanks Buggy when they're back-to-back, that Psi unit who could do it as well. So it's not like this is the first person or first support who will be able to do that. But still, the fact that she can attach to either Nami or Sanji, who there's a lot of characters of, compared to some of these other ones who are much more restricted to who they can go on, is good. It's not too bad, so I like it. Let's go see what her potential abilities are. So slot bind. So it sounds like there's probably going to be some slot bind maybe on some of these stages here, and she does have a last tap. And if you do level 5, you basically get a base attack of 800. So nothing too crazy. It's not game breaking. You're probably not going to try to level this up or waste any tablets to get that leveled up. So that is the Nico Robin unit. So let's go ahead and dig into the Nami unit real quick and see what she can do. And shout out to Solaris, who manages the OPTC DB, who we're using right here to look at the different characters. It's an awesome tool, especially when you're doing treasure map building and things like that. So huge shout out to Solaris for this web app that he built here. So let's go ahead and see. So she's a Cerebral Striker, Psi, of course. Again, captain ability we don't care about. Sailor ability, so she restores the cooldown of 2 when it's rewound, so that's good. Never complain about cooldown reducers when it gets per round. Makes recovery orbs beneficial for all the characters and changes all orbs in TreCru at the start of the fight. So I like this. I like any characters that can make full board orbs at the beginning of fights. I think ever since that Hero unit came out that could do that with Wano slots, I just love the fact that you can get units that can do it. It just makes team planning so much easier, especially if you're just tapping for 1 or 2 stages. It's easy to kind of get up some of those conditions or set up some of those conditions that you have, these slots that you might need there. So I actually really like her sailor abilities. Not bad at all. Let's take a look at her special real quick. So she reduces the special cooldown of all characters by 1, which is just kind of okay. Reduces slot bind by 5 turns. So again, with the fact that she has slot bind and the Robin unit had slot bind, it means there's probably going to be some slot bind mechanics on this TM. And she changes all orbs, including block, into recovery. So can't complain there. I'm guessing if you have that new Bonney unit, it's going to be really fun to use her with Nami or with some of these other characters. So we'll have to see how that goes once we get our hands on some of these units. If we're lucky to pull them in the TM Zugo, we'll go ahead and see how that synergy works. So if your crew has an attack buff when the special is activated, boosts the orb effects of Psi and Int for 2.5 for 1 turn, and does an increase of the attack boost by 0.25. So you really can't complain there. And then if you don't have that, you don't get that attack up boost, but you get the slot or the orb boost there for 2 times for 3 turns. So that's not bad. It's tough to complain. Now you're starting to see buffs to slots and attack that are multi-turn, like more than 2 turns. So I actually really like seeing that these units, they're kind of pushing that out there and trying to get people to have buffs carry over multiple stages, and it just makes planning for teams and creating things a lot easier. So I can't complain. I like her special. It's pretty good. Like I said, it's on a pretty low cooldown too. 13 if you do limit break, 14 normally, which isn't too bad. Her support attaches to basically all the Straw Hats here, and when you reach the final stage, changes the orb of the supported character into recovery and reduces special cooldown of the supported character by 1 turn. So it's just kind of I mean, it would be nice. I wish they had more characters that would do multi unit swaps of orbs on that last stage. There's not a lot that do. There's a Jinbei unit who does one for recovery slots, for example. But it's kind of a pain when you only have 1 unit who gets recovery orbs if you're trying to, meet some conditions of having X amount of recovery orbs or things like that. It would have been nicer if instead of if it was just on her, it was on the whole crew, or change adjacent slot, something like that. So that's unfortunate. But the special cooldown, -1 at the start of the last turn, you really can't complain about that. So let's look into her potential ability. So she has pinch healing, and just a small recovery when you hit perfect, so nothing too special there. And then she has slot bind for 5 turns. So yeah, I'm almost guaranteeing you'll see some slot bind from some of these enemies or some of these bosses on this TM. So yeah, that's Nami. Like I said, she is the 2nd point booster out of the 3. So let's go ahead and dig into the new Sanji unit. So the new Sanji unit is the lowest point booster of the 3. He's Fighter Cerebral Psi. And let's see, like I said, captain ability. Again, we can kind of just ignore that. We'll never really use him as a captain. His sailor looks like it's pretty mid. It just gives him a little attack boost to sign in characters and makes Psyops beneficial, so nothing too special there. Nami definitely seems to have the best sailor out of the 3. Deals 6 times attack and side damage to 1 enemy, reduces bind and coefficient duration by 6 turns. So yeah, you can't complain. Anything above 5 turns is nice these days. The chain coefficient reduction is interesting. You don't see this buff too often out there. And in fact, it's kind of ironic that most of the units that can actually change coefficient reduction past 4 or 5 turns are all Sanji units, right? There's a Sanji Judge unit who can do this. There's another Int Sanji unit that can do it, and there's a couple of Sai Sanji units that can do it. But it's kind of weird that Sanji is one of the only characters in the whole game who can actually remove the chain coefficient reduction for more than 4 or 5 turns. So it's just kind of ironic. So like I said, if you don't pull this Sanji, you'll probably be running one of the other versions of Sanji to get that chain coefficient reduction, or Sanji Judge to kind of help out with that. So like I said, the duration is good. It's helpful. And like I said, you'll have Bind and Despair based on the special of Robin. So just be prepared. You'll probably see a mix of both Bind and Despair on the invasion boss as well as the main boss there. So if your crew has chain tap time bonus when special activated, boost the attack of Psi and Int characters by 2.5 for 1 turn. So I assume that if you had, for example, the Robin special, right, which would give you a tap timing bonus there, then you get this. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot of characters that give this chain tap timing bonus, at least that are good. So, like I said, I think it'll be tough to activate this if you don't have some of the new units there. I mean, maybe you'll see a emergence of Sugar or something like that to help here. We'll have to see. But like I said, there's not many units that will give you that chain tap timing bonus there. But if you can use one of those units, you get the attack of Psi and Int characters by 2.5 for 1 turn. It increases the chain tap timing bonus by 0.1. So if you remember, I believe it was 0.5 was Robin's maximum if you have perfect. So if you use this special after using Robin's special, you'll end up getting 0.6 for perfects, which is good. It's a little bit closer to Sugar's 0.8 that you have there. But like I said, it's not bad. I can kind of see what they want to do here. They want to have the Sanji and obviously the Robin unit synergize. But still, it would have been nicer to just have that 0.1 built into the Robin special already and not have to have another character on your team to go ahead and do that. But if you do have that chain tap time bonus, you'll get the attack for 2.5 for 1 turn. And then otherwise, if you don't, then you only get 2 times attack for Psi and Int for 3 turns. So it's interesting, whether you do a lot of damage in 1 turn or you try to spread that damage over multiple turns. So let's go ahead and see. Cooldown is actually, 14, so it's pretty low. 13 with level limit break. Not too bad. And his support attaches to Nami and Robin. And once per adventure, when you get inflicted with Bind, it reduces Bind by 2, so it's always good. Bind reducers are always welcome. Like I said, there's a lot of different Nami and Robin units there, so it just makes it pretty valuable. And it also boosts the attack of Psi and Int for 1.5 for 1 turn. So yeah, that's not bad at all. You get an attack boost for Psi and Int characters at least, and you reduce Bind by 2. So not a bad support at all. Like I said, I think the benefit here is that they attach to so many of these different variations or versions of Nami and Robin that it just makes them beneficial when you have a character who has multiple versions who you can attach to. In terms of potential abilities, he has Enrage. So basically, you boost your base attack by 200 after you take damage. Nothing too special there. And then Pinch Healing. If you get below 50%, you just get 1.5 healing. So nothing too crazy on the potential abilities there. No special bind, no slot bind, which is good. But like I said, I think you'll still be seeing slot bind based on the specials and potential abilities of Nami and of Robin there. So now that we talked about the new units, let's just talk about real quick about the unit that's evolving or super evolving as part of this, which is the new Jinbei unit. So this is the Jinbei that is there before, or the current Jinbei that's in game. So you can see he does an attack boost of Int and Psi at 3.5, does a HP boost of Int and Psi 1.5, and makes the Int and Tandem beneficial. This is just Sailor stuff. Usually that stuff won't change, so I'm not going to kind of go into that. And then he reduces the enemy's increased defense duration by 5 turns, attack down 5 turns, changes all orbs into Int on the left column. And then if you have Monkey D. Luffy on the crew, it changes the orb of the character into a tandem orb and locks the own orb for 1 turn and reduces the resistance by 20%. So, like I said, you have to have Monkey D. Luffy on the crew, but that's not that hard to get that. Before, he was at 13 and 12, so obviously pretty low cooldown, which is always good. So let's go ahead and see how he's kind of changed in his new updated version here. So I like the artwork here. It's this nice with Bonney and Luffy here. So that's pretty awesome. So he's a fighter cerebral unit, Int. So obviously that stuff hasn't really changed. And basically it looks like he boosts the attack of Int and Psi characters by 4.25. So we got a little buff there for his attack. The HP remains the same at 1.5. Same thing for making the Int and Tandem orbs beneficial. This is new here. The reduces damage received by Psy enemies for 15%. So most likely, one of the bosses, whether it's the invasions or the mini bosses or the main boss himself, will be Psy, and this will just help reduce some of that damage that you take from that unit. Like I said, we're just going to skip over the sailor and get straight to the special. Obviously, this is new right here, right? Because the last one started with the increased defense and the attack down. So if you have 6 characters with recovery orbs when the special is activated, you basically get a 15% resistance for int and side characters for 1 turn. Then it goes into the actual special from previously. So, yeah, this all remains the same. It looks like changes all the left column orbs into int, changes his own orb to tandem, introduces the... okay, so this kind of changed up a little bit, right? So before you had these things kind of fell under the Luffy, if you had the Luffy on your crew thing. Now it looks like they took that out, which is good. It's always good to have less things, and I think you could stack these, right? Have 35% increased damage for int and psi if you have 6 recovery slots when you launch a special. So, like I said, the fact that Nami help gives all recovery slots when you start. Maybe you can do some locking slots, or even if you have like that Luffy Makino unit, Uta unit who can change all your characters' orbs to recovery orbs. You can use one of those to just get a nice 35% damage increase there for Psi or Int units. So if your crew has Monkey D. Luffy as a member, I assume this is locks the character's orb for 1. Okay. So yeah, so it locks the character's orb for 1 great hit. So until you hit a great, it will stay locked. So if you hit your perfects, you will keep that tandem orb until the end of the match, which is okay. It's weird that it's just for 1 character. It would have been nicer if it was for more than just him. But it looks like it's just for Jinbei himself. And then you recover 20. So that's new as well. The recovering HP is new. It's okay. Recovering 20% HP is not bad. But yeah, it's not really an impressive unit, I would say. Has a couple of small upgrades here and there. You can do more damage with int and psi characters. That's kind of the biggest upgrade I see by super evolving, but compared to some of the other units that we've been getting, it's pretty lackluster, to be honest with you. So not the best super evolution by any stretch. Bandai phoning it in this month, maybe, who knows? But yeah, hopefully that this is an exception to the rule, because we've been getting a lot of good characters, right, coming out of TM for super evolutions lately. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. So these are the 4 new characters that are coming out as part of the TM. So like I said, you have Robin, who's the highest point booster. You have Nami, who is second behind her. You have Sanji as the lowest point booster. And then you can get this Jinbei with Super Evolution Skulls from TM. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll probably be doing just 3 polls. I like to do 3 polls on TMs just to see what happens. So we'll have that video when that eventually comes out. The mechanics did come out, so I'll probably be coming out with some TM team building in the next couple days, just so you guys can stay, keep your eyes out for that. And hopefully the gimmicks won't be too bad. Like I said, I think you'll see a lot of slot bind, a lot of bind, a lot of despair, things like that. And I think unless you have some of the PK units, some of these bosses might be a little bit hard. But we'll have to see what happens there. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you liked the video, hit the like and subscribe. And until next time, be kind to each other.